Hey travelers, Mag and I here on day 286 of our trip around the United States. Yesterday, Ai-chan and I finished off all of the counties in the state of Utah and all but one page, which we're going to be getting on our way out. For the next 2 days, we're going to be staying here in Salt Lake City with a longtime friend that we haven't seen in 2 decades. So Ai-chan and I are not going to be spending much time out on the geocaching trail. But she woke up this morning, said she wanted to go on a walk, and I could think of no better place for us to go than right here at the State Capitol Building grounds. In just a moment, we're going to take you on a tour around the Utah State Capitol Building, which is a beautiful sight to see. And the cherry blossoms are in full bloom right now, so there are 1 million people out here all around the State Capitol grounds enjoying the beautiful sight to behold. So why don't you come along with us and we'll take you on a brief tour of the State Capitol grounds here in Utah. Come on, let's go. Salt Lake City, the capital of Utah, is the most populated city in the state, with 1.2 million people living in the metropolis area. The city was founded by a group of early pioneer settlers led by Brigham Young on July 24th of 1847. From the very beginning, the founders planned for the development of the city, basing it on a standard compass grid and building an extensive irrigation network, which could feed the population and serve to foster future growth. What we quickly discovered upon our arrival at the Capitol grounds is that there were several adventure labs with stages overlapping all over the Capitol area. This provided the perfect way for us to easily identify the points of interest as we began to make our way around from one spot to the next. Each statue we came across gave us another glimpse into the rich history of Utah, leading us to the Mormon Battalion Monument, dedicated in 1927. This very uniquely designed monument commemorates the sacrifice made by 500 Mormon pioneer volunteers who joined the U.S. Army during the Mexican-American War. The reliefs on each side tell the story of the battalion's history, from the enlistment through the march, the discovery of gold in California, and the arrival of the Pueblo detachment at the Capitol. Just a slight roll down the hill from there, we come across the Utah Law Enforcement Memorial, dedicated on September 6th of 2008. This memorial replaces a smaller one that had been displayed inside the Capitol prior to the preservation project. The 3 statues here tell just the smallest fraction of the story of the 137 officers who have died while protecting Utah citizens. From there, we casually stroll over to pay our respects at the Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos Veterans Memorial, dedicated on October 14th of 1989. We would ponder over the story titled But Not Forgotten, found at the base of the statue of a Vietnam veteran as we continued our tour around the Utah State Capitol grounds. A soldier of 19, going on 39, returns from a night patrol and firefight. He carries the burden of an extra rifle that belongs to a fallen buddy. A burden that is insignificant compared to the extra baggage of unexpressed feelings that he will most likely carry for life. He is alone now, even though others are near. He is strong and determined. He did his best while restrained in his efforts by a confused government as he waded through the mire. He has done his duty at the request of a few, without the support of a majority. He is an American. His painful memories are dimmed by time, but not forgotten. His service to his country has been ignored, but not forgotten. Gone are his fellow veterans who are missing or dead, but not forgotten. While this may be Ai-chan's first visit to the Utah State Capitol building, this is actually my second time here. We came once before with a couple of geocachers, including Inextricable Fate and Toward the Capitol grounds, and at the time that we came, we were the only ones here. So it is such a contrast to see so many people out here enjoying the Capitol building grounds today compared to when we had it to ourselves. Of course, it was a frigid day and there was snow on the ground, so that probably had a lot to do with it compared to the cherry blossoms we're seeing today. Come on, let's go check those out. We counted ourselves very fortunate to be here on the State Capitol grounds when the Yoshino cherry blossoms are in full bloom. Visitors to the State Capitol have been able to enjoy these flowering cherry trees going back as far as 1931, when the first trees were purchased from a nursery in Seattle and planted on Arbor Day of that year. Then, in 1945, following World War II, Japan gifted Kwanzaa cherry trees to the Capitol as a symbol of the friendship between the two nations. More than 400 of these trees stretch for over half a mile around the Capitol building. Of course, there is far more to see here as you explore the area around the Capitol than just the Capitol building itself. This spot on top of the hill was where life in Salt Lake City began, far before the Capitol building was even constructed. Right across the street, you'll be able to find the headquarters for the International Society of the Daughters of Utah Pioneers. Among other things, this group is responsible for the preservation of the historic landmarks found around the state. The Salt Lake City Council Hall can also be found just around the corner, which served as the old City Hall from 1866 to 1894 before construction of the Capitol building. Heading south away from the Capitol through the downtown area of Salt Lake City, we stopped at a series of virtual, all recently published as we'd already completed the original virtuals the last time we were here. One of those fairly recent publications brought us to the Celebration of Life Monument, erected in 2004 as a memorial and tribute to individuals both living and deceased that have donated organs, tissues, and eyes for either transplant or research in the Intermountain area. Each of the statues featured in this park try to demonstrate the sheer joy of life that can be had from being happy, healthy, and able to physically do things with the organ transplants received. Then we found ourselves strolling into the International Peace Garden, 11 beautiful acres located along the banks of the Jordan River. First dreamed up in 1939, the gates to these gardens were flung wide open to the public in 1952. Since then, these gardens have welcomed tens of thousands of visitors from a number of countries across the world into the gardens representing the cultural diversity of 28 nations. We allowed the adventure labs here, of which there are 2 comprising a total of 10 stages, to guide us on a counterclockwise tour around the gardens at a nice, leisurely pace that Aichan was comfortable with. We both found it to be a rather unique concept to be taking a stroll through the gardens in China, and then, all at once, you're looking out over the landscape of Vietnam. Each memorial does its best to provide a unique tribute to the culture that it is representing. Around the outer rim, we explored our way through Tonga, France, Vietnam, Ireland, Russia, Korea, the Philippines, Brazil, and Japan. Coming back for a pass around the inner loop, we saw our way through India, Canada, Africa, Wales, Mexico, Germany, Denmark, Scotland, Greece, and China. Coming through the top of the loop, we sped through Lebanon, Italy, Finland, Holland, Norway, Switzerland, England, and Sweden. Despite the fact that Aichan and I had given up on hopping county to county and instead were now moving from country to country, we took time to rest and enjoy the scenery at each location. And we were not the only ones doing so either. There were many people out here enjoying the fair weather in this park, strolling hand in hand, or just sitting and having a picnic together. One of my personal favorites, and one of the largest plots here, is the Japanese garden, dedicated on July 11th of 1950. After the American garden, this was the first to be completed and dedicated, and contains 3 stone lanterns that were shipped with the aid of General MacArthur directly from the Emperor's Palace Gardens. I was hoping that Aichan would enjoy her little taste test of Japan, as she's sure to be seeing a lot more of it very soon. It is certainly not every day that you are offered the opportunity to tour around the world while taking a relatively short walk. It was an opportunity I simply could not pass up on, and knowing that this was nearing the end of our day and Aichan would be able to rest easy after this, it was the perfect chance to ensure she had a good bit of exercise before she went right back to sleep again. The Adventure Lab itself only consists of 10 stages, but we took the time out to ensure that we saw all 28 countries represented here, one at a time. And each time a bench came into sight, I knew that I would have a nice spot to sit back and relax while Aichan laid out in the grass and caught her breath once again. While I've actually visited many of the countries represented here in real life, many more of them are still on my bucket list, including a trip into Norway. Seeing these homes along the fjord had me thinking about when we might be able to get a trip into this beautiful mountainous country. England, meanwhile, had me reminiscing about my trip into London not too long ago. It is most definitely a country that I will look forward to getting to see again sometime in the near future. Which country's representation seen here in the International Peace Gardens did you enjoy best? Go ahead and drop down in the comments and let us know which one was your favorite. The last stop on our way out of Salt Lake City is the Murray City Park. The park is watched over by Chief Wasatch, a sculpture carved out of a giant cottonwood tree in honor of the Utah Native Americans. You might also recognize this as one of the statues carved by Peter Toth, of which there are 50, one in each of the 50 states honoring the Native Americans. Under the Chief's watchful eye, we would complete one last virtual to wrap up our day at a Veterans Memorial honoring the Vietnam veterans of Murray. All right, and that concludes our tour of downtown Salt Lake City. And what a great tour it was. We took quite a while to do it because Ai-chan walked along at a pace that was comfortable for her, which does not move fast at all. But eventually, we were able to tour the entirety of the Capitol grounds and then make our way over to the International Peace Garden as well. By the time we finished with that, Ai-chan said, that's it for the day. We need to call it quits. And that's exactly what we're gonna do. We are now here with our friends, the Wiens family, and we're gonna be spending the rest of the night tonight and tomorrow with them as well, and looking forward to having a lot of good times with this fantastic crew. Thank you guys for joining us on this tour of downtown Salt Lake City. Like this video, subscribe to stay tuned for updates, and we'll see you out on the trails.